50 Cent just woke up something in King Harris that got everyone tweaking. Lil Bro hopped on live and went nuclear.
I want to say something about my mama. Your mama dead as Your mama dead as Go dig her up. Go dig her up.
Then Boosie pulled up with the smoke.
But man, when you start talking about people's deceased parents, you crossing a line that's hard to come back from.
But King and T.I. are not ready for what Boosie said after that. Let's get into it. 50 Cent crosses the line, and King Harris loses it. Now look, there are certain things you just do not do in hip-hop. You can talk about a man's music all day long. You can clown his hairline, his fashion choices, his streaming numbers, whatever. That is all fair game. That is part of the culture. But there is one rule that has existed since the very beginning of this rap stuff. A rule that even the most reckless, most disrespectful figures in the game have historically understood. And that rule is simple. You do not bring a man's family into it. You do not go after somebody's wife. You do not go after somebody's mama. You keep the beef between the two people who actually have the issue. But on February 22nd, 2026, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson decided he was going to break that rule in the most public way imaginable. And the fallout from that decision has turned into one of the wildest, most personal, and most uncomfortable beefs the hip-hop world has seen in a very long time. Here's what happened. 50 Cent and T.I. had been going back and forth about Verzoos battles and snitch allegations for weeks at that point. The tension was real, but it was still within the bounds of normal rap beef territory. Two grown men talking slick on the internet, nothing that had not been seen 1,000 times before. But then 50 Cent took to Instagram and posted an unflattering photo of T.I.'s wife, Tamika Tiny Harris, captioning it in a way that was clearly meant to humiliate her in front of his millions of followers. He was basically telling her to stay out of grown folks' business, but the way he did it was straight up disrespectful. It was not a subliminal, it was not a subtle jab. It was a direct attack on a woman who had nothing to do with the beef between him and her husband. And that is the moment when everything went sideways, because T.I. and Tiny's 21-year-old son, King Harris, saw that post and absolutely lost it. He did not wait for his pops to handle it. He did not wait for a family meeting or a strategic conversation about how to respond. He went straight to Instagram Live and let 50 Cent have it in a way that made the entire internet stop scrolling and pay attention.
I want to say something about my mama. Your mama dead as Your mama dead as Go dig her up. Go dig her up.
And just like that, King Harris took this beef to a place that nobody was prepared for. He went straight for 50 Cent's deepest wound. He was talking about Sabrina Jackson, 50 Cent's mother, who died tragically in a house fire when 50 was only 8 years old. That is not just a sore spot for 50. That is the defining trauma of his life. And King Harris aimed directly at it without a second thought, but the young boy from the A was far from done. He kept that same energy going with zero signs of letting up.
Post a picture of your mama, because she dead. Pay respect. Stop playing with my mama. Playing like that, going like that.
There was no filter on this young man at all. This was raw, uncut fury pouring out of him on a live stream where thousands of people were watching in real time. He was telling 50 that if you want to play the picture game and post somebody's mama online, then post your own mama, except you cannot because she is not here anymore. That is the kind of thing that makes a room go silent. That is the kind of thing that changes a beef forever.
How y'all raised? I'm not raised like that. I don't go. I'm not going about my mom. I'm not going.
King kept driving that one point home over and over again, that his upbringing would not allow him to just sit back and let somebody disrespect the woman who brought him into this world. He was raised by TIP. He was raised different, and he wanted the whole world to know that.
So tell your dad, mama, dig her ass up and post a picture that look better than my mama.
That was a straight up warning shot. King was letting 50 and anybody affiliated with him know that they had fumbled badly by bringing this kind of energy to the Harris family's doorstep. And King did not stop at that. He went after the one thing everybody in hip hop knows is 50 Cent's other major vulnerability, his relationship with his son, Marquise Jackson.
Straight like that. Your son don't love you. You don't got no family.
That one stung because it is public knowledge that 50 and Marquise have had a messy, drawn-out falling out that has played out on social media for years. King knew exactly where to twist the knife on that.
You not loved. You rich, but you not loved. Money means nothing without no one to spend it with. Your son don't love you.
King was basically telling the whole internet that all of 50 Cent's money, all of his success, all of his business ventures and TV shows and movie deals do not mean anything when you go home to an empty house with no family around you. That is a different level of disrespect right there. That is not just bars. That is personal warfare. And then King brought it back to his own foundation. He made it real clear where he comes from and why he moves the way he moves.
I don't play by my mama. At the end, I don't play by my mama. I'm just how I'm raised, nigga. I wasn't raised by y'all father. My dad is TIP, Tip. That's how I'm raised. I don't play like this.
King Harris was not just talking reckless on lives either. On February 24th, 2026, the youngin' actually went to the studio, recorded a whole diss track, and dropped it on all major streaming platforms under the title Made. Man, the music video was filmed in a parking garage full of foreign whips. King decked out in a red hoodie and beanie, delivering bars like, "Speaking on my mama, I tell Chaz ring the alarm." Probably cross his legs and fold his arms. He was standing on every single word. He even dug up an old NSFW photo of 50 Cent holding what appeared to be an adult toy, posted it on his story, and hashtagged no AI to make it crystal clear the picture was authentic. King Harris had gone full scorched earth. No chill, no retreat, no surrender. And the internet was eating every second of it up. Boosie Badazz breaks down the whole situation. Now, when something this wild goes down in hip-hop, everybody has an opinion. Your favorite rapper has an opinion. Your barber has an opinion. The dude at the gas station who still wears FUBU has an opinion. But there are certain voices in this culture that carry more weight than others. And one of the voices that people were most eager to hear from was Boosie Badazz. Because Boosie is not your regular internet commentator chasing clicks and engagement. This is a man who has been through the trenches for real. A man who did hard time in the Louisiana penitentiary system. A man who has lived by the street code his entire life, and who has never once hesitated to tell you exactly how he feels about a situation, regardless of who it might offend. So when Boosie sat down and addressed the King Harris and 50 Cent situation, the whole culture leaned in to listen. And the first thing Boosie did was acknowledge the root of King's anger. He did not dismiss the kid. He did not call him a fool. He understood the emotion driving the whole thing.
First off, you gotta understand where King coming from. That's his mama, man.
Simple as that. In the hood, in the suburbs, in any household where people actually love each other, your mama is sacred ground. That is not up for debate. That is not a conversation. And Boosie recognized that this whole situation started because somebody decided to violate that sacred ground.
You can't be out here playing with a man mama and think it's just gonna be rappers rapping.
That is the realest thing that has been said about this entire beef. Boosie was making it plain that when you cross the family line, you are no longer in the world of entertainment. You are in something much more personal and much more dangerous. The rules of rap beef do not apply anymore. Now you are dealing with blood, and blood responds differently than business.
King of YN, he got that fire in him, and he let it be known he ain't going for none of that.
Boosie respected King's backbone. He gave him credit for having the courage to stand up for his people. But then the tone shifted, because while Boosie understood the why, he could not co-sign the how.
You got 50 Cent posting pictures of Tiny on his Instagram, trolling her.
Boosie put the blame where it belonged first. 50 Cent started this by dragging Tiny into a beef that had nothing to do with her. He lit the match.
Telling people to keep his name out their mouth. 50 been a menace on the internet since the internet started.
And Boosie kept it 100 about what everybody already knows. 50 Cent has been running the internet like the biggest bully in the game for over 20 years. He has done this to J. Rule, Rick Ross, The Game, Fat Joe, and now T.I. and his family. That is his whole playbook. He trolls people until they react, then he uses the reaction against them. But King Harris responded with a type of heat that even the internet was not ready for.
We know how he do. But King took it to a whole different level of disrespect.
A whole different level. Those are Boosie's exact words. And from somebody who has said some of the wildest things in hip-hop history himself, that should tell you just how far King went.
Because he felt like 50 was trying to play his mama like she wasn't a legend.
King was riding for his mama's legacy. He was making sure the world knew Tiny Harris is not somebody you get to clown on for likes. But in the process of defending that legacy, he crossed a line that even Boosie, a man who has seen just about everything, thought was too heavy.
Talking about your mama dead as go dig that up.
Boosie repeated King's words back, and even in the retelling, the gravity of what was said hung in the air like smoke.
That's some heavy, dark shit to be saying. Telling her to go put flowers on the grave.
Heavy, dark, those were Boosie's words.
But man, When you start talking about people's deceased parents.
And then he delivered the one line that summed up this whole disaster better than anything anybody else has said about it.
You crossing a line that's hard to come back from. He telling 50 to put the music up and stop playing.
That is the truth that the whole culture needed to hear somebody say out loud. There is a line. There has always been a line. And once you cross it by bringing somebody's dead mama into a rap beef, you are in territory where handshakes and truces do not work anymore. The damage is permanent. Boosie also kept it real about the massive mismatch in this whole situation.
If you ask me, it's a mess. You got the South Prince, in a way, T.I.'s son, going at a billionaire mogul.
That is the part King probably did not fully think through before he crashed out on that live. He was going bar for bar with a man who has spent his entire career dismantling people on the internet and coming out on top every single time. 50 does not even need to win the traditional way. He just needs to turn you into a meme, and he has been doing that since before King was old enough to hold a phone. But Boosie was not just warning King about 50 Cent's social media game. He was warning him about real-world consequences. Boosie straight up said that if King kept moving the way he was moving, prison time was inevitable, and he was not being dramatic about it. He drew a direct comparison to his own son, Tootie Raw, saying he had already told his boy's mama, and his boy's grandmama that the same reckless behavior leads to the same locked up outcome. That is not commentary. That is a warning from somebody who has been behind the wall and seen what happens when mouths write checks that reality cashes. And the situation got even messier because Boosie's own son, Tootie Raw, jumped into the beef, posting threats directly at King Harris and warning him to stay in his lane. King Harris, being who he is, was absolutely not about to let that slide either. He fired back at Boosie himself, questioning his credibility and asking who gave him the authority to check anybody. Just like that, the beef had sprouted a whole new branch with Boosie's camp caught up in the crossfire too. And here is what makes Boosie's involvement even more complicated. Boosie is not exactly writing for T.I. behind closed doors. In past interviews, Boosie himself has accused T.I. of cooperating with law enforcement to get reduced charges, calling it what the streets call it. He said he had paperwork and everything. So when Boosie speaks on this situation, he is not some neutral referee with no skin in the game. He has his own smoke with T.I. on the snitching issue, but still believes 50 Cent took things way too far by dragging family into the equation. That duality is what makes Boosie's take hit different. He can hold everybody accountable while still understanding where each side is coming from. The Verzu's backstory and the culture's reaction. Now, if you are watching all of this go down and wondering how in the world a conversation about a Verzu's battle turned into dead mama jokes and NSFW photos being posted and diss tracks being recorded in parking garages, you are not alone. Because the road from let's do 20 songs versus 20 songs to where we are right now has been one of the most chaotic detours in recent hip-hop history. And it all started years ago. See, T.I. has been trying to get 50 Cent into a Verzu's battle since the platform launched during the pandemic in 2020. This was not some casual mention in passing. Tip was on a full campaign. He wanted the G-Unit General, the certified New York legend, the man behind Get Rich or Die Trying, to sit across from him and play records hit for hit. He believed his catalog, 11 studio albums deep with joints like What You Know, Live Your Life, Whatever. You like Swagger Like Us, Bring 'Em Out, Rubber Band Man, and Big Things Poppin' would wash anything 50 could bring. He even brought it up on 50's birthday in 2020, posting a 3-minute IG video challenging him directly and mocking 50's 2007 sales loss to Kanye West as proof that 50 was scared of catalog battles. But 50 Cent was never interested, not in 2020, not in 2021, when T.I. literally crashed the stage at the Atlanta premiere of 50's show Black Mafia Family and grabbed the microphone calling him out. And not in February 2026, when T.I. went on Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco Johnson's Nightcap podcast and said it again for all the world to hear.
Nah, I said I wanted 50. That's what I said. He don't want no smoke though.
Every single time T.I. pulled up with the challenge, 50 responded the same exact way, reposting old Crime Stoppers commercials and alleged court footage to push the snitch narrative, captioning it all with "Keep my name out your mouth" and "No verses, let's do the stay away challenge." That was 50's whole blueprint. Deflect, troll, and flip the conversation using memes and old footage instead of ever actually engaging with the music. And it worked every time because most people did not know how to handle that kind of energy. But on February 22nd, when T.I. sat down with the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast and publicly said he lost all respect for 50 after the Verzu's ducking, 50 Cent did not just troll this time. He went personal, he posted Tiny's picture, and that is the moment the fuse hit the dynamite. T.I. responded the way an artist responds. He went to the lab and dropped 2 diss tracks back to back, War on February 22nd and Right One on February 23rd, produced by Lil Kaliab. Right One was absolutely vicious. Tip called 50 a 5 Neo dispatcher, said he was a small man in a big shell, and even dragged 50's ex-Daphne Joy into it by referencing her alleged dealings with. Those bars were nasty. T.I. was rapping with a fire he had not shown in years, and the culture reacted immediately. Everybody with a platform had something to say. Charlemagne the God was one of the first to speak up. He put the blame on 50 Cent, saying T.I. was never disrespectful to begin with, and that 50 got personal, felt away for no real reason. And someone else on the podcast made the point that kept coming up in every conversation about this beef.
Honestly, what his wife got to do with anything? You know, the family thing, it's just weird. Them two brothers got a problem. It's like, all right, keep going at each other if that's what y'all gonna do.
And then she landed on the part that everybody in the culture felt in their gut.
But the moment you bring somebody's family into it, it gets crazy. So I totally understand why King went off, you know what I mean? That's his mother.
Charlemagne kept it all the way a buck. He said those two should not even be beefing and wished they could figure it out like grown men. But he also made it clear he completely understood why King Harris reacted the way he did when his mama was dragged into the situation. DJ Academics had a whole different take. He was not trying to be neutral about it at all. He had the scoreboard out and he was giving the rounds to 50 Cent.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I got 50, I got 54 on you right now. It's not a good look for you, brother.
Academics scored the beef 4-0 in 50's favor, arguing that T.I. kept pushing the Versus angle while 50 was attacking his character, which made Tip look like he was avoiding the real issues. Academics also called King's dead mama comments holy, meaning absolutely shocking, and noted the massive mismatch between a young rapper and a billionaire mogul. That take got a lot of heat from T.I. fans in the South who felt Academics was riding for 50 because of his New York bias. Joe Budden chopped it up on his podcast and gave one of the more balanced takes in the whole discussion. He said he loved the family flex and called T.I.'s diss tracks the cheat code to beating 50 Cent because the one thing 50 has never been able to handle is a real musical response. His trolling only works when the other person responds emotionally on social media. When somebody actually goes to the booth and drops bars, 50 does not have an answer for that. But Budden also raised the red flag that everybody needed to hear. He questioned whether the beef had gone too far now that deceased family members were being invoked, saying that once you cross that line, reconciliation becomes almost impossible. Angela Yee covered the whole saga through her Way Up With Yee platform, keeping it mostly neutral, but highlighting some key developments. She pointed out that King wasted no time jumping in after 50 restarted the Harris family beef by posting Tiny. And she dropped an interesting piece of info that a lot of people missed. 50 Cent had actually started removing all T.I. related content from his Instagram, which looked a whole lot like backtracking to a lot of folks watching from the outside. Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco Johnson, who sort of started this latest round by hosting T.I. on their Nightcap podcast, also reacted to the escalation on their show, discussing 50's Tiny post, King's response, and whether this whole thing was about to turn into an actual war. They kept it mostly entertaining, but with the underlying caution that everybody was feeling. This had gone from sport to something much more serious very quickly, and that is where things stand as of February 26, 2026. King Harris's Made Man is picking up steam on the streaming platforms. T.I. is still previewing new material aimed at 50. 50 Cent has wiped his page clean of T.I. content, but continues finding slick ways to troll in the background. Boosie has dropped his take and gotten himself dragged into a side beef with King in the process, and the whole hip-hop world is watching this play out like a reality show that nobody asked for, but everybody cannot stop tuning into. The question that keeps coming up in every comment section, every podcast episode, and every barbershop debate is the same question Boosie asked in his interview. When you bring dead parents into a rap beef, when you tell a man to dig up his mother's grave, where exactly do you go from there? Because in this culture, lines get crossed all the time. Disrespect is part of the game. But there are certain lines that once you step over them, there is no walking back. No squashing it over a phone call. No mutual friend brokering peace. No photo op at a charity event. The damage is done. And everybody caught up in this situation, King Harris, T.I., 50 Cent, and Boosie himself, knows that when it comes to bringing up somebody's dead mama, there is no coming back from that. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Like this video? Click on the card showing on your screen for more.